Greetings, sir and sirettes, and welcome back to From the Depths with me, Lathrix, and of course, welcome to the Ashes of the Empire campaign, the mostly ground-based campaign which is all about building tanks and having a massive restriction on how big you can actually build, which really encourages building a platoon of troops, whereas in the other campaigns, honestly, building bigger is generally better, and that's normally my style of building. So this is going to be a very, very different experience indeed. Not only ground units, which I have almost no experience with, but also small units. Once again, absolutely no experience. This campaign takes part 10 years before the quest for Nita, and by part, of course, I mean place, before the main campaign. This is during the time of the Great Civil War that tore the Steel Empire apart into the independent factions. In this corner of Nita, the Broken Empire is fighting for vital land rights, and you find yourself in the middle of it all. Good luck. So we're going to just go straight to a new campaign. So then, here we are. And if you want to read that, you can, but I am certainly not. So let's have a quick look at the stats. Why am I on 50% multiplier? Times 1, times 1. Oh, maybe it's that the resource given is remarkably high. Even then, though, we're still 90%. Oh, hello, we are on centralized material. Is that the standard for this? So, for those who don't know, the localized resource, material as it's called now, simply means that all of your vehicles will hold a set amount of resource, depending on how many resource holders you give them. The centralized material means that the material is everywhere. It's in the aether. You can use it wherever you want to. It's not actually being held anywhere. So apparently the default is for centralized. The thing is, though, I was actually looking forward to building trucks. So I'm going to go with localized, and that's just massively shot up our experience gain, so let's put that to times 10, and now it's at 100. Perhaps that got changed at some stage and that wasn't intentional. Either way, let's get straight into the campaign. Far too much talking, let's have a quick look-see what we are going to see. Now, one thing I will say is I haven't been in the campaign yet, so I have no idea what I'm actually expecting. Although this does actually explain what types of enemies there are, so I'm going to read this to myself, and then let's begin a new campaign. So I assume this is just... yeah, that's just a resource collector. Okay, I was about to say I wonder what's on the map, but apparently we have more stuff. That was weird. So we have another collector over here, and am I correct in assuming we have the same over here as well, if I press the correct button? Okay, I can see why centralized resource may have been good. We have 3 resource gatherers, all very, very far away from each other. Infinite... no, that's not an infinite reserve, and I assume then this isn't an infinite reserve as well, although I can't click it because of where my things are. Let's just pull all for a second so the lag goes away. And then over here we do have infinite. Okay. So we have this resource zone here, which is actually... perfectly infinite. So, all of you come back into play, just in the central. Then we have the areas to the left and to the right, and all the different names and stuff. Okay, let's get to work then. So the first thing I'm going to do, people on Twitter will know about this already, is I am going to spawn them all in. I am going to destroy this vehicle over here. Actually, first, let's have a quick look-see at it. So, metal, it has these don't actually do anything, but they're there for looks. And we have a cannon on the top. What's the cannon like? It's 2 advanced cannons with belt-fed loaders. Not terrible. Although it is only 60mm. Yeah, I'm going to get rid of this. So, cool vehicle, but I'm going to get rid of it because I have built a small generic tank over on the sandbox mode, and that's pretty much all I've done, just to make sure I understand how tanks work. Now, this is purposefully not a particularly fantastic tank, because I want to do most of the building whilst we're actually in the campaign itself, and this is the Khan, based off Khorne, who is, of course, one of the Dark Gods. Okay, so what I've decided to do is destroy the little tank we were given, and I'm spawning in a tank I built in the sandbox mode and tweeted about quite a lot. This is the Khorne tank, based off the champion of the blood god Khorne. So it's a cheap, rather large, heavily armoured tank with a fairly decent cannon. It's a 200mm advanced cannon which shoots armour-piercing rounds with a very high kinetic value. It also has a few cruise missiles which only fire at the start of combat. Essentially, it's actually a base vehicle. It's very easy to retrofit and purposefully isn't the best because I want to do as much building as possible whilst we are in the campaign itself. So, let's just pull all for a second. Let's go back over to here with the Khorne and let fast forward commence. Well, hello! So looking at the factions, we have this fellow here, and this one is already on the brink of war with me. This is the Dustwind Gypsies, as are these three, the Lightning Hoods, the Twin Guard, and the White Flyers. The Onyx Watch and the Steel Empire don't really care too much about us, and they all seem to be rather angry at each other, with the exception of the Twin Guard and the Steel Empire are bestest friends, and so are the Lightning Hoods and the White Flyers. I did not know they were friends, but apparently they are. And the tank is in play, and I have now realised I have built this far too big, but at least it is going to work, and maybe I should turn it on for a second to get away from our rig. So we now have this, which is going to act as our defender, and so let's do a little bit of building in terms of building a transport vessel, because right now we have a lot of resource doing absolutely nothing, and eventually what we can do is build some proper buildings which can then ferry the resources constantly. But for now, let's just build this out of wood because it's nice and cheap, and let's build ourselves a tiny, tiny little very quickly built truck. This is going to be utterly awful, I admit, but at least it should do something. So, how I'm going to do this is we'll have the front section there, then we'll set up some wheels underneath this, like so. And then like so, the wheel turning. Now what I can do eventually, at least on the tanks and such, is I can add proper tank controls, where one side of the wheels turn to turn one way and the other side reverses. You know, how tanks move and stuff. But for now, we'll just go with the very, very basics, which are the turning wheels, which I'm really not happy with. I don't like how they look in the slightest, but they will work, at least for the time being. You know, I don't know why I'm doing this. What I could do is just put an engine on it now and just send it on its way. But we're going to keep on doing the weirdness because that's just how I am. As part of the Lathrixian Legion's Green Initiative, this is going to be a completely battery-powered truck. And yeah, it looks really crappy at the moment. I will rebuild this when I have more time, but at the moment, you can probably tell, I'm actually a little bit nervous. Some people have been telling me that we get attacked quite early in this campaign, and I have no idea how good my tank is, because the only thing I have allowed it to fight against is essentially ships. So I've tested it against ships I spawned on land. Essentially, I haven't really tested it, so turn you on. And put you on fleet move instead. This should allow you to move in a second. Let's quickly select you. Vehicle 1.
Moving out.
Move over there, please. And there it goes, at a fairly decent speed. Okay, good, so it's actually movable. So let's just stop you for now, and let's finish off just a couple of little derpy things, and then I will send you off to collect some resources from elsewhere. You can currently hold 12,000 resource, although you have absolutely no way of defending yourself. So I'm sending you on a bit of a suicide mission. If I see an enemy even for a second, I am going to send you back very, very quickly. I don't know why I'm adding these, but I am. They're totally like chains. Well, you can make them like chains by doing things like that, and you can add other things as well for the same effect. Actually, that might look a little bit better. Sure, hydrofoils, that seems reasonable. Look, it's totally like a truck, even though it's not connecting properly here, and it's all way too thick and stuff, because I'm just special like that. Slopes, sure, why not? There, it's got glass. Everyone's fine now. It's all nice and protected. Actually, if I make that out of wood, I can at least make it look it is actually enclosed. And then change this for something else instead. Okay, that looks a little bit better, and we now have the corn symbolism as well, although the back still looks like a giant block, but it is going to work, and it is incredibly cheap, so let's just save it as the Transport Alpha. Sure, that seems completely reasonable to me. So, do I want to make another one of these? No, I think I'll just send it on its own. So, you're currently going at 14 meters a second. I thought you were a little bit faster. Yes, you definitely are. That's actually a fairly reasonable pace for only one RTG, so you can get there incredibly quickly. Fantastic. And with that, we can start saving up resources, and we can either make another Khan tank, or we can start building up some actual physical stationary defences. But I think for now, having a couple of tanks would be better. The first round trip is a success, and now we can already build ourselves yet another tank. Now, like I said before, this tank is not particularly powerful. It's honestly a quite hastily built thing. Ooh, that's really weird. There we are. Apparently, it didn't play nice with the water, but it should get the job done. It can counter quite heavy armor, although it won't counter multiple fairly weak targets. It's also far too expensive for what it does. I did make a cheaper version, and I will probably be reverting to something like that in the future, but like I say, I would like to build more in the campaign this time. Last time I built far too much outside of the campaign, but thankfully, since everything's so much smaller this time, it means we can just keep on building and building, and it's so much easier. I must say though, I don't like being in the desert. This terrain just seems so dull. Okay, I've done a little bit of tweaking of our transport, and now I am much happier with it. So, it has some lead on the bottom, so the centre of mass is far lower, and we have an evil red light. I'm really happy with the evil red light. Also, apparently it's snowing. We are in a very cold desert, apparently. Well, that makes actually a fair bit of sense. And can I add a light in here as well? Okay, that just looks demonic, which I'm completely happy with. Oh, it's finally happened! Shinies! Oh, look at all your shinies. No rust on them at all. You have so much and we have so little. Maybe you're wanting to give it to us. No? Don't get up. We'll come and get it ourselves. You are now at war with the Dustwind Gypsies, which I'm fairly certain is the equivalent of the Deepwater Guard. So, okay, let's prepare to fight then. Okay! Troops, tanks, move, please! We don't want to end up fighting our transport. Wow, they are faster than us.
Yeah, on my way.
There we are, the raiding party. So, what do we have against us? We have the Sidewinder, we have another Sidewinder, and we have the Sand Viper. Each of these is actually incredibly expensive. Why on earth are they so expensive? Very, very small volume, but massive material cost. I don't actually know why that would be, so let's spawn these lovely fellows in, but before we do, let's make sure that the land is actually spawned in correctly, because I did have that problem in the sandbox mode, and let's get straight into the fight. Battle commences, and this is the enemy. A serious Mad Max vibe going on, but that is far more enemies than I saw on the map. Oh, okay, well this actually explains everything. That there is a sub-vehicle spawner. The main vehicles, which were actually on the map, are spawning in these little guys, which are actually motorcycles. That is amazing. Really, seriously, I do love the look of the Deepwater Guard, and they've really kept it for the Gypsies. So, let's just continue our fight, and I'm really hoping those haven't spawned in the water. Yep, that water isn't meant to be there, but that looks like it may have glitched. Oh well, let's get to the actual fight, shall we? Yes, we are in combat mode. For a second I thought we wasn't. Incoming missiles, and yep, down goes the first, and down goes the second. Sadly, the missiles are a one-time thing just to begin the fight. Down goes two of the bikes, and here come the other attackers. Our tanks are so slow in comparison to this. Okay, down goes the other bike. More missiles. They are meant to be a one-time thing, so clearly I've set that up incorrectly, but I'm not going to complain right now. Aw, those 2 missiles really wanted to help. Last enemy is weirdly standing still. Any reason why we're not firing at it? Have we killed its AI? Yeah, we must have took out its AI, so that was very easy. That was incredibly easy. I feel like one of our tanks could have done that then. I'm a little bit disappointed by our shells. They do go through metal very well, but when they hit the target then, it felt like they did essentially nothing. Also, I've apparently messed up because these lovely fellows have no material storage. So, let's go off and get some material storage and come back to collect our winnings. Still, an okay fight. We leveled up. The enemy are very cool, but it feels like the enemy are also very weak. Maybe we should just go on the offensive. We could make a new tank already, but I feel like perhaps what would counter these guys a lot better. In fact, you go here instead for a second. What would counter the enemy is probably a more Gatling gun or chain gun type of weapon, a minigun with rapid fire rather than a cannon like that. Our cannons are good against heavy metal, but against loads of little wood enemies, their fire rate's a bit poor. Although we didn't get hit by a single... Well, we obviously got hit, we took a little bit of damage, but I didn't see any major damage being taken. Lovely. Whilst that fight was on, I managed to gather enough resources to make 2 more tanks, so already we have 4 of the Khan tanks. Now, I will say, I want more types of tank. I don't just want this type of tank all the time, but what these are going to be is the frontline bruisers. They're not overly expensive, although they are more expensive than what they need to be, but they have very, very thick armor, which means against lighter enemies, like the enemies we've been fighting, they can take a lot of hits. No idea why that one decided now is the time to activate, but apparently it did. Sure. I've just thought of a way which will make these even better as frontline tanks. If we just spawn in 1 for a second. There we are. What I'm going to do, since we now have internal storage, I'm going to add just a few repair tentacles. This way, if they are close enough to each other, they will be automatically healing each other, which would be really, really helpful. Let's put these on the back, shall we? Like here. There we are. Just a couple of repair tentacles. Oh, they are a bit more expensive than I thought they were. Okay, less than that. Let's have 4 on each of them, then we save this vehicle as the Khan AC-2, which literally stands for Advanced Cannon, by the way, in case anyone was wondering. And then I will retrofit all of them to version 20. The frontline tanks are coming along nicely. Perhaps I should make them lower gauge but faster shooting, since they will be on the front line, but I feel like I would love to have one tank which is specifically for this. Well, look at this. You could not order fleets into friendly areas. These are owned by the Steel Empire. Declare war first using the diplomacy menu. So in this campaign, you can't enter tiles which are owned by someone else unless you are at war with them. That's a really good concept and something which would do really well in the regular campaign. Anyway, how is my current fighting affecting my relationship with everyone else? Doesn't really seem to be affecting anyone. They all seem to be about the same with me attacking the Deepwater Guard. Insult! Yeah, none of them really seem to care. Okay, so I'm afraid, sorry, Dustwind Gypsies, I'm going to press on my attack with my 4 tanks.
On my way.
I also need satellites. I can't see where I'm going again. This is the Defense Force. The King Cobra and the Sand Viper. Now that's a much bigger enemy, so I'm very happy about that. And since they like to get very close to us, let's stay nice and far away. And let's shell them from afar. Our missiles are like 2,000 meter range, so this is absolutely fine. So this is the larger enemy in the Defense Force. And yep, definitely the Deepwater Guard variant. That looks really nice, and how have they done... Oh, I see how they've done these. That is the oil barrel, the old oil container, but then they've used the exhausts to make it look like that. That is actually a really cool idea, which I will be stealing. Okay, continue. Wow. Well done, enemies. Okay, oh wow, some of our shells went straight through the enemy there, and again, just keep on firing, and the big enemy is stopped. No, it isn't, but there are our missiles. Will they finish off the bikes? Mostly. The big guy's dead, and there goes one of the bikes. 2 more bikes left. 1 bike left. I assume they're just suicide bikes. They just ram into us, but since we are finishing them off, that's not too bad. I could probably steal this. No! Oh, I should have stopped them a second earlier. It's too damaged. By the time I get there now, it will already be dead. Shooting his friend there, but then healing him, so well done there. And we have another victory. And a lot of resource taken. Very, very happy with this. Okay, time to be honest, I thought that the Khan tanks would do poorly. I even set up their detection system quite purposefully not to be overly good. The first enemy seemed to be very easy, but I have been told that some of the enemies are really difficult, so I can only assume as we continue, it's going to become more difficult. I think we should just continue pushing forward, because the more we push forward, the more they have to reinforce again, and thus we are saving ourselves quite a lot of damage. A little bit dark, but here we are in the next battle. We are against a Sidewinder, a Sand Viper, a Sidewinder, a Sand Viper, and a Sidewinder. I would say that they are using the same things a bit too often, but look, we're using the same tank 4 times, so really can't complain there. Begin the battle. Destroy them as we have destroyed their brethren. Wow, that is a lot of enemies. Oh, they are 2 cram cannons coming straight towards us. There go our missiles. And I think they're going to miss. Let's go into this mode for a second so we can really see what's going on. Admittedly, it's hard to see any detail with this, so I won't stay in this mode for long, but I really want to see who's winning who. They are firing little shells, but they don't seem to be doing much other than killing me. Naturally, they can kill me. Those bikes really are a waste of resources for them. You two are getting far too close. I may take a bit more manual control if I get too close for too long. However, healing each other. And one of their Sidewinders, or the other one, I really can't remember which, is now dead. We have one last large opponent. The shell's going right through it. How about actually hitting the target? Look, it's perfectly still. There we go. Is that it? No, 1 last enemy, 2 last enemies. Goodbye, little bike. I need to stop saying last enemies until I realise that there's definitely only 1 enemy left. Is that it? We're all good? We done? And so the Khan Legion moves on, for the glory of Khorne. We're kind of steamrolling them. I feel... Oh, I don't want this to get boring, but I feel so mean. I really do feel so mean right now. But why not continue? We're already on a winning streak, just keep moving forwards. We need to be able to hold more resources as well. We're actually full. I've decided we should move south now. We're going to west, let's move south, so we're going diagonally from our original fortress. I have no idea why we're doing this, but that's what we're now doing. So against us we have a Sidewinder, a Sand Viper, a Sidewinder, and a Scrapworks. Oh, kind of going against the naming of all the others, to be perfectly honest. So let's spawn in here for a second, just to make sure that that doesn't happen with the water. Go on, go away, thank you. That's happened far too many times in the vehicle designer. I do not want it ruining a battle. So, begin. Actually, go inside the vehicle, please. Thank you. Straight away, one of them is dead, and I think that was from its own fire, so that's a pretty good start for us. So that there is the Scrapworks for the largest vehicle. And it's already being detonated by the shells. The missiles haven't even got close yet, and the missiles will definitely finish it off. It's fired 1 last shot before going down. Holy crap, that is a lot of the little bikes heading towards one of our tanks. I am tempted to take control of it and make it move away, but at the same time, I kind of want to see what these bikes can do. The tank's looking very confused about this. Okay, so they do detonate upon our contact. Ooh, we took a lot of damage to the side. Our turret's been a little bit mangled. That was not as impressive as I first thought it was going to be. That's why I can never get suicide vehicles to work. I've tried before, just never works. Are they all dead? I feel so bad. I'm just butchering them. I'm afraid, though, with that last battle out of the way, I am all out of time for today's episode. In the next episode, we are going to be just as aggressive, and we are going to try our hardest to remove the Dustwind Gypsies out of the match as soon as possible. After that, we can move towards harder enemies, because honestly, this so far has been a little bit too easy. But please bear in mind, this is the equivalent of the Deepwater Guard. The Deepwater Guard, as soon as you know how to play the game, are incredibly easy to defeat. Even their hardest of vehicles are not particularly powerful as long as you know how to counter them, and this is exactly that, but being forced to have tiny little vehicles as well, so I'm not imagining they will last too long. Once they are down, however, we are going to fight things like the Onyx Watch and the White Flyers and all the different more difficult enemies, including ones which I can only assume are going to have lasers. So thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, then of course, likes, favourites, shares, comments, all that good stuff helps out me, helps out the channel, and most importantly, shows that From the Depths, the Ashes of the Empire, is a series you wish to see continued in the future. I promise we will build more different types of tanks in the future. Thank you, and goodbye.